Super excited to have my beautiful guest Yayla here today. So Yayla is the founder of well, from like a few different things. At the moment, she's come out of a multinational company, $1 million company, got really bored with that. Is that the right word?
Yeah, bored, overwhelmed.
All of the things. It's just, and come back home into having a lot more balance in her life. And she is a success coach, business coach, entrepreneur, and helps support people in being their full authentic expression of self and getting all of the wins and all of the success, and really supports them in every way. And she's so fun and so the best cheerleader I have met. She just is so supportive of me, of other women that I know, and really just, yeah, helps get us like that, just out of our like stories, and just really steps into our authentic truth and just really supports us. And the thing that I love about you most is that you make everything so fun. You just make everything so fun. Even when things are like gnarly and stressful, you make it so fun. And you come back home to your heart, which is absolutely like your mission, right? So rather than having all this big, and I'm similar, having all this big success and all the money and all the stuff, but you're just completely out of whack and out of balance. So welcome. And what else have I missed in there?
What an intro. I mean, I'm just going to listen to that on repeat. This is amazing. I think we're done.
Yeah, well,
literally nothing to add to that. Wow, thank you so much for having me. It's honestly such an honor and so great to be on here with you and just kind of jam with you a little bit.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it is. It's really fun. You're in New Zealand, I'm in Australia, and but yeah, we speak a lot, right? We speak a lot, like nearly every other day or something like that on our WhatsApp chat. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, to be able to support each
I
other.
love that. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about technology nowadays, how you can truly connect to people that, you know, are on the other side of the ocean or on the other side of the world. And especially with all these voice messages and videos going back and forth, sometimes I just feel like I can reach in and just give you a big hug.
And you do, and I feel it. And I love that. I love that. So I first wanted to chat a little bit about, well, your journey as well with the multinational company, because you said that you built that up yourself. So if you could, yeah, tell me a little bit about that. That, like, I love people's journeys and my audience loves people's journeys. So yeah, it's really inspiring. If you could share that, please.
Absolutely. It was quite the ride.
Yeah.
I'd say about 10 years ago, I started a marketing and PR agency specialized in the hospitality industry. Although at the time I didn't know I was starting that. I was just kind of taking on a project. Someone asked me, hey, can you do this or could you do that? And I kind of just rolled with it. And one day woke up and kind of found myself in a situation where I'm like, well, looks like a duck, walks like a duck, you know, looks like an agency, you know, maybe let's call it an agency.
Yeah. How far into it was that?
It was pretty far into it. I think for the first year and a half, I was really hesitant to call myself an agency because I felt it was restrictive, and I felt also a lot of, you know, imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to make it an agency? I'm just doing some projects left, right, and center.
Yeah.
But yes, these projects became bigger and bigger, and I think it took me like a year and a half to have the balls to actually own what was there and say, okay, this is a thing, it's real, I'm doing this. And also to it was a niche agency, so we only worked for hospitality brands, and that's also a choice I made at that point, because before that I was just I did whatever came my way. And I think that same moment was the moment I pivoted and said, you know what, I'm just going to do this one thing that I deeply care about and I think I'm really good at. And so it was. And then it was a hospitality marketing and PR agency. And I'm from Amsterdam originally. That's where I started. I started at my kitchen table, actually at the very table I'm sitting at now. I shipped it 18,000 kilometers all the way to New Zealand.
Well, it's got to
It's quite poetic. It is. It's quite poetic. I feel like I sit working at this table so much. I'm like, yeah, we've gone full circle. We're back here.
Yeah,
And from that kitchen table, it grew and it grew and it grew. And it was really, quote unquote, successful. And it was me and then me and a few other people. And then by the time I sold it a few months ago, it was about 35 people. And we were in 4 or 5 different countries, working with big multinational brands as well. So yeah, it became really big and very successful. And it was slowly killing me because I wasn't managing that properly. I mean, I was managing the business, but it kind of ate me alive. It became this big golden cage. And I struggled getting out of that because it's tricky when you are successful and everyone is cheering you on and telling you how amazing it is. And well, you buy into it. You're like, yeah, you're right. I'm pretty amazing. And it's so it's true. I'm like, okay, I can't stop this. I can't walk away from this. And I just kind of kept pushing myself, my body, the screens of my soul, but also my relationships, my family, to the side. And it left me feeling very empty and very disconnected. And it took me physically removing myself to the other side of the world to take some more distance. And even then I was holding on for dear life. And then there came a point where the universe was like, yeah, you're not listening. I'm just going to swipe like the rug from under your feet. And literally everything I thought was me, my business, my marriage of 15 years, my family, picture perfect family, it all started crumbling. And it was just one after the other, just like boom, 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 boom. And it was not fun, but it was the wake-up call that was needed in order to let go, because it's a tricky one, success and being recognized for that. It is hard to let go. And you know, there's this old saying in Dutch, like, if you don't want to listen, you're gonna have to feel. And yeah, I didn't listen. So I was made to feel.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because we have a very similar story, like me with my salons and the thing that support you so much. But it is so interesting when you are realizing that you're not in attunement or in alignment, and then you get all these other things and just multiple ego deaths on all the levels, just so that your whole world shatters and then you can rebuild. Because as somebody, I feel like a lot of successful people, this is what we do. A lot of people, you hear them become bankrupt, this, that, and the other, like multiple times. You just need to burn it all, and like a phoenix, we're reborn, right? So it's amazing. So I'm a little bit behind your journey. Like, I've still got my physical businesses, but they're crumbling as we speak. Well, not crumbling, but I'm selling them off, like slowly peeling the band-aid off so slowly. So I totally get it. And when you're not in alignment, you feel like your soul's just being eaten away by toxicity. Yeah,
absolutely. And at the same time, it's hard. I mean, this is your business, your babies. You put so much love and support into that. And even though you know there is something else out there for you, and even if you're able and willing to trust that and go with that, there is a process of grief and loss in letting that go. And that is something I grossly underestimated. Also, it took me a while to allow myself to grieve for the business and the life I had built for so many years. And don't get me wrong, the company is not lost. It's thriving. They're doing great. And I sold it to my first ever employee. So there's no better person to, take the reins and take it to that next level. But it felt as a personal loss, and that hit me quite hard.
Yeah. So did you take a bit of time? Like, what did you do? Like, when it was sort of you're handing over? What did you do?
Well, yes, I did take a bit of time, also not so voluntarily. I think it was the selling that was kind of the final straw in the whole breakdown of the marriage and all of that. So,
Mm.
you know how when you're really busy, you don't really feel that you're tired until you sit down,
Yeah,
or like you go on holiday and then you get sick. So
yeah,
I was kind of holding on in the process of the sale. It's a complex process as well, and there's big decisions and big things going on, and especially because I'm in a very different time zone, so doing things in the middle of the night. So by the time I was kind of, that adrenaline and the actual operations of it was keeping me up and running. And then I think after that kind of final piece fell away, I just kind of crashed a bit,
yeah,
which, yeah, is not my nature. I mean, you described me, I love this, as a cheerleader. I love being in that energy. So I struggled a lot with physically not having the energy, and yeah, just not feeling myself for a while, and giving into that.
yeah, yeah, which is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing
So
that.
it was, yeah, it's
Being honest.
yeah, and you know, it's ups and downs. I think there's definitely, and that's, I think, something as entrepreneurs, we're all go-getters and just roll up our sleeves and just get shit done. So we are down for a day, like we were talking about this the other day, like we all have our moments.
Totally.
And then we're like, okay, well, now it's over because I've done that. But that's not how grief works, and that's not how life works. So you have your moments, and then you think, okay, I'm done, and then maybe the next week you'll, you know, crash and burn a little bit again. And
Yeah,
I think
like
for
an onion.
me,
Yeah,
like an onion, absolutely. And
yeah,
for me, it was such a great lesson, and it not just was, it still is such a great lesson in surrender and honoring what is present, and or what isn't present.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah. So, what did you do in that grieving process to support yourself? Like, how were you nurturing yourself? What were things that worked for you? What were things that didn't work for you?
I think I did the practical side of it. So I sought support on every level, on a physical level. I had adrenal fatigue. I did low energy. So I went to see doctors and naturopaths and healers to kind of get the supplements and the support to just, yeah, make it through my day. That sounds really sad,
For
but
your
just
body. Yeah,
physically.
yeah.
Yeah, and also on an emotional level, you know, work with an amazing counselor who helped me through that process, which was really important for me.
Yeah.
And I think the two things that really kept me going is, first of all, starting a new business, starting this new business, the CEO.
Yeah.
And I very purposefully launched it, or I launched the Instagram. There wasn't even a business. I just launched an Instagram the week that I sold Typhoon, my old
Oh,
company,
really? Yeah, right. Yep.
just as a pressure. And I committed to posting something every day,
Yeah.
so that I knew I had to do that, even though there was like 5 followers and they were all related to me. Didn't matter. I had committed. It's a business now, and I'm posting every day. So that's,
Exactly.
and I think that is something that I learned, and I know the coaches we both work with also really reiterate that time and time again. It's about staying in action when you're feeling stuck, taking, even if it's little tiny baby steps, but
Hmm.
taking little pieces of aligned action, because that is just the key to staying moving and getting unstuck. And
Absolutely.
then on top of that, for me, it was getting out in nature, getting out and hugging some trees and getting my feet in the ocean. And
Yeah.
um, that is just the most nurturing thing, I think, for anyone. But I'm a city girl from, you know, by heart. And I live in the city now, but you know, in New Zealand. So still I go 10 minutes every which way, and you're in the most stunning places. But I
Yeah.
never used to do that or know that or acknowledge that as something that is important. Um, and I can't imagine not having that as an essential part of self-care anymore.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And lucky that you'd moved to a place where, yeah, there is the nature all around, so you're fully supported all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So tell me a little bit about your new business now, like the CEO. Like, I love it. And you've got to check this website out because, like, it makes me jealous. I love it so much. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do my website again. It's just so beautiful.
Thank you very much. We just launched it, so I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, me too. I'm really happy with it.
You know, copy paste, no time to waste. It's there. Let me help you. Done.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you've just
Yes.
so you launched it.
I just launched it, the website. So I started the Instagram a couple of months ago. It's called the CEO, and it is about that contrast, right? Like the CEO, the more masculine, getting shit done, rocking your business side, and the more feminine, fluid, trusting side, and combining those two. So what I do through this business, which is, offers coaching, but also do speaking, working on a book. It's going to be a whole thing. Is supporting entrepreneurs. It's going to be it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oprah, move over. I'm coming for you.
Absolutely. Second multi-million-dollar business in the last decade. Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so the CEO is about that. It's about supporting entrepreneurs in what I call going big and going home.
Which I love.
We're all always saying, go big or go home. And I used to say that all the freaking time, by the way. But so it's about going big and going home. And that means being unapologetically, God, I can't even pronounce it, unapologetically ambitious.
Yeah.
And having, uncompromising quality of life. Yes. Because I feel like the entrepreneurs I work with, they are on either side of that spectrum. Mm-hmm. Either they really want to go big. So that means they have a dream, or they have a business, which is really heartfelt, and it comes from such a beautiful place. And they need the support to actually scale that and grow that and make it into a tangible business. So many people are stuck basically being their own worst paid employee and being run by their business and kind of stuck in this time for money trap. And they have so many beautiful gifts to share. Mm-hmm. So that is kind of the people I help go big. Mm-hmm. And on the other end of the spectrum are the Yaelas of a few years ago that are, successful and have it all, and come to this point where they realize, hold on a minute, like this whole bullshit story I've been fed about what success is, that this dream that I've been chasing and that I've been sacrificing for, is actually bullshit. Yeah. Because I don't care how ambitious you are, how business driven, because don't get me wrong, I like business and I like making money and I like the whole aspect of it. Is I'm not at all preaching for everyone to sit in their yoga pants and meditate all day long.
Still action, absolutely.
Like do things and create epic things and epic businesses and revenue streams so that you can create more in the world. Yes. And but you see this, and you see it especially in places like Silicon Valley, where we are all, the entrepreneurship vibe is alive and kicking. Mm. And we're all trained to chase this dream, this model of success, which is flawed, which is broken. It is so fragmented. Yeah. Because if you ask someone to name someone who they deem successful, it will always be someone, it will always relate to money, power, status, influence, because that is what success means in our dictionary these days. Absolutely. And no matter how ambitious you are, these are also exactly not the things that give us as human beings a sense of fulfillment. Absolutely. So we have so many super successful entrepreneurs and leaders and business owners all over the world, with like soaring rates of anxiety, of depression, suicide even.
Absolutely.
So I support these entrepreneurs in what I call going home, and finding ways to reconnect to their sense of purpose and their sense of self, and just also a sense of connection and service, because and contribution,
Yeah.
without having to sacrifice all of the beautiful, ambitious business dreams they've already built up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I do, and I fucking love it. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It is. It's the best. Like, that's why I wanted to chat with you, because we do very similar things, but just different, and it's like yours is like your clients are a little bit different to mine, a bit, and I love that. Like mine probably a bit more spiritual, and you're like, so and that's the thing. Like, it's sisters supporting sisters, like there's different coaches
Absolutely.
for everybody, and there's millions of people. But that's why I wanted to see and get you to share how you do things, because everybody does it a little bit different, and it's so fascinating. And absolutely, like what you're talking about, the success is such bullshit. It's like a carrot's being dangled like in front of our nose, and we just have to keep on running, and you never get
Yeah,
there. Success is, and it's not, it's just all in our mind. We have our own version of success, and we get to, as coaches, help people create that, right? So that they do
that
feel
is, yeah,
fulfilled in their lives, and yeah, they're feeling nourished and fulfilled and enjoy, but yet successful in the action that they're doing. So that's, yeah, so beautiful.
absolutely.
Yeah, so
Well,
that's
and that's what I say. I actually, yeah, I mean, I created this thing that I call the success blueprint, and it's exactly that. It is having people define their version of success,
yeah,
because it looks very different from person to person. And no
absolutely.
matter how similar, you always have your own unique version.
Yeah,
And then also having the balls to, yeah, align your life and design your life to match that. Because once that applause dies down, once you choose to define success differently and in all the ways, in when you look at your health, your physical health, your mental health, your relationships, your spirituality, your sexuality, all of these things together with your finance and your career and your contribute, all of these things, and like cheering you on because you've just had a very spiritual weekend away, or there's no one applauding you for spending the evening on the phone with a friend and reconnecting, or for taking a nap when you're feeling like shit.
absolutely.
So you're going to need to get really clear and very grounded and secure in knowing this is what success looks like for me. I'm
Yes,
going to choose to design my life accordingly,
yes,
and yeah, and validate yourself in that way, because the external praise will at least diminish, and that's hard. I mean, I know I literally moved to the outside of the world
mm.
because I didn't have the balls to just kind of say, you know what, I don't need this, and stay put.
Well, and because you felt the call, like you weren't in alignment and you needed a big shift. And, land is supportive. And sometimes we don't realize that we're being called to a certain place because we have healing there, or because we're going to be super nourished and supported there. So maybe, you were from New Zealand in a past
Totally.
life, but or you're on a ley line and you're just drawn to that area, and it gets to nourish you and support you in your new venture. So it's
It is
perfect,
totally
right?
the very first step on my more spiritual or more awakened journey, which was a very cliche eat, pray, love moment. I'd say about 5 years ago, I went to Bali for a retreat, a yoga retreat, and I was a complete workaholic. I'd never I lived on caffeine and adrenaline, and I'd never done yoga, and I had no patience for all this bullshit. Listen, people, we have a schedule, we have stuff to do,
Yeah.
and I'll spare you the details, but I ended up in the hospital with emergency surgery, and the next morning being back like on my phone, texting people the minutes of the meeting, and I think 5 hours after waking up from surgery, having to go into my office to fire someone because it had to be done that day. It was surreal. So that pushed me over the edge to go and go to this retreat. And I was speaking to one of the teachers there, and he said, so what do you want to do? I said, oh, I want to move to New Zealand. And I heard the words come out of my mouth, but he's like, oh, yeah, it's
You hadn't
amazing.
thought
There's
about it
beautiful,
before.
nice people. Have you ever been there? I'm like, no. like this Bali was the closest I'd ever been here. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I want to move there. He's like, okay, well, that's random, but okay.
Yeah.
And on that very same trip, I had my oldest and dearest friend was doing a world trip with her husband, and she was in Indonesia, so she met me for a day in Bali before I flew back. And she was telling me that they were going to end their 1.5-year world trip
Oh.
in New Zealand, I think 6 months later. So I said, well, now I'm going to try and get my family there for those, for when you are there. And yeah, and that's how the ball started rolling. I said it, I don't know where it came from. I met my friends here 5-6 months later. And 6 months after that, we had moved here with our family.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's epic. Wow. Just meant to be, being called there. Everything just aligned so perfectly. Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
How long ago was that now?
3 years.
Yeah, right. Beautiful. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been quite the ride. You know, we came here obviously with the four of us, and you know things have drastically changed.
Yeah.
But oh God, I love it here.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool. And so with your journey, like that's, going to a different land, creating a new business, ending the other business, being away from everybody, like how have you built a new home for yourself? How have you created community around you? Like what what does life look like for you now in a new country? How did you reestablish yourself? How have you, you know, supported yourself through that?
Yeah, it is a very interesting process that I I have loved, but I have seen firsthand how big a toll it can take on someone, because moving to another country literally so far away with and I think we also underestimated the cultural difference, because you think, it's a Western country, it's English speaking, so it's I know this, but
Yeah.
there's quite some differences, and it can
How
be
so?
quite
Culture.
just yeah, I think mainly in terms of communication. I know I am Dutch Israeli, so I think both nationalities are known for their bluntness and directness, whereas Kiwis are more British, maybe, and more polite and more of the sugar coating. Um,
Right, okay, yeah.
something I had to learn. Uh,
To be a little bit fake, right? Okay. No,
but
no,
I remember I would have to sometimes have emails checked by my Kiwi friends, not because I don't speak English, I actually do, but just because I'm like, I think this is what they're saying.
yeah.
Am I right? And they're like, oh no, they hate your idea. I'm like, but they're saying, oh, I love it, it's amazing. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm starting to learn, and I'm also starting to, you get this natural selection of, I think, who speaks your language literally
And
and
being an
figuratively.
entrepreneur, we're naturally direct people. Like, there's not, we don't have time to fuck around. Like, let's just get it out and get it over and done with, whatever it is. I know
Love
people
me.
say the same with me. They're always like, oh my gosh, you never tell me exactly how you feel. I'm like, I don't even have time to do it any other way. I tell you exactly how it is all the time. That's it.
And it is so refreshing and so good. Like I actually have said this in meetings. I'm like, I'm a big girl. Like, I will be okay. Just tell me if you don't like the idea. Like, that is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Just tell me, instead of having me like email 5 times and
Yeah.
then just kind of do the Houdini. I've never seen this in business anywhere. Like,
Right.
I have been business ghosted here. Like,
Yeah.
or like we had a really nice chat and then someone would just not answer ever again.
Yeah, right. That's so
Interesting.
interesting because it's a warrior culture. So, like,
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
fuck?
I don't know. I blame the Brits for that.
That's so interesting. I had no idea. But yeah, like it is a beautiful place. Like, I've only been to New Zealand once, but yeah, everybody is so lovely and
So
um
friendly.
reserved almost, like, just, yeah, really, but really heartfelt. Yeah, so I never even thought about like that sort of side of it. So that is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's so nice. I mean, I thought in the beginning, I moved here from a relatively, it's not bigger, it's not a big city in numbers of people or size compared to Auckland, but it's just more of a big city vibe, Amsterdam. So
Totally.
in the beginning, I was just shocked because people here ask you how you're doing. And like, they're not robbing you. They're not trying to mug you. They're just stopping to talk to you, and they're actually waiting for the answer.
Yeah.
And it's so lovely. But coming here and basically starting from scratch, I had a very positive experience, and um, I've been blessed with a tribe of people here around me that, oh man, like I I don't even I don't even have the words, and that's a rare occasion. But they are just so beautiful, and I also very consciously made that effort.
Yeah.
I realized I came here. I have no family here. I do have two young children. I mean, it takes a village. Sometimes, if you're stuck in traffic or you're sick, you're going to need support. So I've really consciously put myself out there from day one to build connections and to meet people. I was that annoying girl who was everyone's like, "Hi, I'm Yaela from Amsterdam," and just kind of put myself in your face.
Yeah.
And through that, I was so blessed to meet beautiful, beautiful friends. And throughout the years now, after 3 years, that's kind of settled, and you know your people.
Yeah.
But I've also seen firsthand how unearthing it can be to kind of lose your sense of self, because often our sense of self is learned because it's mirrored back at us.
Yeah.
And from there on, we hopefully strengthen it. And if that mirror all of a sudden disappears, or the mirror how you're used to seeing yourself disappears, and that can tear lives and marriages and lives apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you that.
Your sense of self, you're losing your identity. It's just up to
So
you.
it's definitely not easy. And I think, yes, and I think for certain people, I don't know if it's a character thing or also just a timing thing, that can be very exciting. I loved it. I'm like, I have a clean slate. I, get to go up there and just meet new people and kind of reinvent the wheel. Like, I don't need to be the Yaela that I was in Amsterdam, where everyone had a certain expectation of me, whether that's true or just my experience of it. But I felt so much pressure and expectation through my business, and through also being in the city you grow up with, you just know a lot of people there. It just felt heavy, and it felt like I was expected to be a certain person. And I'm sure, had I been stronger in my own self, I could have broken free from that without moving away. But having that clean slate, for me, was such a beautiful opportunity. And it took hard work. And it also made me realize how closed off I was to building and forging new relationships prior to that. Because in Amsterdam, I was busy, and I had my social life, and I had my family, and I had all these obligations and the luxury of having all these people around me, that I never realized how, I don't know if lonely is the right word, but how empty it can be sometimes for expats or people that don't have that. And I think, in hindsight, knowing with this experience, it has made me much softer and more compassionate and more inclusive, I think, to people coming into my world. It made me realize how much I didn't know and just took for granted having people.
Yeah. That's amazing. Like, what a gift just that, like, that's huge, right? Like, being able to create your own world, like being able to choose your new community, invite people in, be who you want to be, and then have that like awareness around your, like, where you've come from as well. And I guess, like, moving away from that as well, would that have strengthened a lot of relationships that you had over there that previously maybe had felt a bit empty, and now they've got more depth and richness to them?
Absolutely. I know I kept saying in the beginning, it sounds weird because I moved so far away and there's a, like in summer, there's a 12-hour time difference. But
Mhm.
I all of a sudden spoke to my friends and uh, not everyone. There's certain relationships that faded or that, certain people are more like face-to-face people.
Yeah.
um, I'm not a big phoner. I don't sit on the phone for hours.
Yeah.
So it's more like short bursts of messages, and that's not for everyone, and I respect that. But then a few relationships indeed got strengthened and got so much more depth because because you are so much more conscious, and you choose to speak to that person and you want to connect.
Yeah.
And I would never do that at home because I'd be running around and I wouldn't like sit for an hour and talk about nothing. And now all of a sudden I would.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. That's your own going home, right? Like,
True.
yeah. Like New Zealand was
Absolutely.
your home. It was meant to be so that you could get away from Amsterdam and like have those beautiful connections, create a new tribe, and bring your children up there.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, the quality of life here, and it's just yeah, I really love it. It's just really far away from everything else. That's
How do you
something
do that?
I'm still just by getting on a plane, I guess. It just
Because you
it's
were only
funny how
there
relative.
long ago, and then you're going to Bali. Like you were last month. Were you in Poland? And then this
Yeah.
weekend you're going to Bali.
Yeah. Well, this was a bit of a crazy month. The 3 months before, I didn't go anywhere, but I do travel a lot. I think travel, and for me, is one of the things that fires me up and just feeds my soul, and also just helps me expand my mind and get creative. So that is whether it's small weekends away within New Zealand or coming over to Australia, or bigger trips. But yes, I was just in Poland on a very special trip to reconnect to my roots. And yeah, going to Bali now on Sunday. Oh my God.
Life's tough for you, love.
I know. First world problem.
No, it's
No,
beautiful.
but I mean,
And we're
that's
going over America next year. We're doing all the stuff. It's great. I love it.
no, we're doing it all.
That's it. But like you create a tribe, right? Like you've got your tribe in
Absolutely.
New Zealand. Now we've got like this whole other international tribe, and we're all meeting up like in Burning Man next year. I don't know if you were coming to South by Southwest as well. Like we're just
I'm
doing all.
skipping that. But very well for sure. And I mean, I think that is so beautiful. We were talking about, technology earlier. Also, the age we live in,
Mm,
what is available to us. First of all, on a business level, the stuff
yeah,
we can create
yeah,
ourselves. I mean, even this
yeah,
conversation, the way you're sitting in Sydney, I'm in Auckland. This is going to be online,
yeah.
um, and streaming into I don't know how many countries and cities. Like
Exactly.
that idea is just kind of
And it's
and
awesome. And I want to bring something to that as well, because if people are listening and they're like, oh, fuck, these guys have got amazing lives. Well, this is what we do, right? We support people so that they can have amazing lives, so that they can do these things. So it's not that these aren't tangible things. Everybody starts somewhere, and it's just a conversation or an email, just reaching out to you, reaching out to me, whoever they need to reach out to, and just starting that up, going, my life's not where I want it to be. How can you possibly help me? And then that's when the ball starts rolling, right? Because their consciousness just has that little bit of a shift, and rather than being a victim, they actually get to be empowered, and then they get support from like somebody that's been there or had a similar experience. That's why I wanted you to share your experiences, because you've been through like totally different things to me, same but different. And it's really like, people will be attracted to that, and I want them to know you, because the more people we get to support, the more we create this new earth together. And it's so important that we're all able to share and support each other. So you've had amazing journeys, and you are an amazing mum. You are a fantastic entrepreneur, building great businesses and supporting CEOs and helping create that balance. And it's not about like being in competition with each other. It's like, there's so many people out there. Let's just help everybody. Let's just help everybody, So like, That's it, right?
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think you touched upon something so powerful because also if you are thinking that, like, also don't be overwhelmed by the idea like I need to immediately hire a coach. There is so much out there in terms of content. The most amazing relationships and people and I say no because some of them I've never actually physically met, have been through online connections,
Yes.
of just starting a conversation with someone, just saying, hey, how are you, or asking a question, that have led to conversations that have then led to working together or collaborations, or being introduced to someone else. And what you touched upon earlier was saying, like, just by doing that, just by reaching out, you are already shifting. I was speaking to an amazing entrepreneur last night. We were on a discovery call, and I said, you know what, no matter what, if we end up working together or not, it doesn't matter, because you made that decision that you want something else for yourself.
Yeah.
So this is, the wheels are in motion, whether that is with a coach, whether you are going to read this book, whether you're going to meet someone waiting in line in the supermarket.
Yeah.
You get to decide, like, you know what, I'm done with this, and just flipping that switch and taking small actions. It's like almost like a movie. It's ridiculous to see what can happen from that space.
Absolutely. That gave me goosebumps, like legit goosebumps. I'm like, yes, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. That's everything. And you're so right. Like, it's like, it doesn't have to be about working with somebody. Like, there is so much on the internet, right? Like, they could do everything from be an astrophysicist to be, like a landscape gardener. Everything is there, whatever shift they want to create. And like, I hope that some of the inspiration from this is that people go, okay, cool. What I'm doing is like fucking awesome. I'm like filling my ego and my soul is empty. And what can I do to recreate my life so that I have balance, and so that I feel fulfilled, and so that when it is my time to leave this planet, I went, fuck yeah, my life was awesome. Not fuck yeah, my bank account was full and I feel empty. Because that's, I think, what happens too much, right?
It does. And it's just, and it makes sense. Like, for the longest time, when I was kind of transitioning between those two extremes, I'm a girl of extremes, I don't do things half-assed. So I was alcoholic, and then like I'm full-blown hippie, and now I'm landed somewhere in the middle. Like, I'm hippie, but I like to drink champagne.
Yeah.
Champagne fueled hippie. There you go.
Yeah.
But I think, so many people on this, I was so hard on myself for chasing after this empty things. And I think we also get to acknowledge we are all human.
Yes.
And we all get fed this story day in, day out. I mean, no one teaches us these things. No one teaches us, wait, okay, no one even teaches us how to connect to your sense of self and to your soul and to your intuition, and how to trust that. It's all about ratio and knowledge, and all about that kind of more masculine way of being. Yeah. So for all of us, I think it is a very logical journey to kind of go more into that and kind of go with what is being taught and what is the norm, until we reach this point where we're like, there must be more.
Yes.
And what I hope is that through sharing these stories and sharing stories like yours, and, putting ourselves out there, because, you don't think I feel like a dick talking into my phone on social media every day? I mean, I do, but by putting these stories out there, you do.
I love it. 100 days lives. It's so inspiring. I love it.
What did I do? I've never gone live on social, and I'm like committing to 100 days. I'm like, okay, that seems realistic.
Yeah, but on the side of that, after 100 days, like having to do it live, you can't like, go back and edit it or anything like that. It's freaking awesome. It's so good. So good. Yeah.
And I think that is it. I think we all, through sharing our stories and sharing our journeys and sharing what we've learned, because like we haven't invented this. There's nothing new here. Like, this is just our experience of it. And like you said, you have different types of coaches, and the way I teach something lands with some people and it's definitely not for some others. And the way you teach something lands with people is definitely not for others.
Yeah.
And through this work, I just hope we get to save people from some of these major fuck ups. And believe me, they'll still fuck up. Like they'll still have their own things because life.
But they'll be aware of
But
it and they'll get lessons out of it, and they won't be a victim as much, and they'll get through it a lot quicker.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I just love you.
Sorry.
I was just proclaiming my love for you.
Same.
I was
Love you to
your
love you. But see, like, even just that, okay, I just want to acknowledge that. Like, we do the same stuff, right? Like, we're both coaches, we're both like entrepreneurs, all that sort of thing. And how fucking awesome that we can support each other and like hang out, and there's like no competition. It's like, yeah, you're you and you're perfect the way you are, and I'm me and I'm perfect the way I am, perfectly imperfect. And let's support each other and rise together. And it's not this like synthetic competition. It's just like true, like authentic love and sharing and caring for each other. And like, that's just like, I think the new way moving forward, because I don't know what it was like with your business, but like with us, it was a very old paradigm, masculine run business that was like started 50 years ago, you know? So just this support and nurturing of each other and non-competitive ways and really wanting each other to succeed is so fucking refreshing, right? Like, oh, it's just so like, oh, so much better. I'm just in love with that, and it's the way forward. It's the only way forward.
It is the only way forward. And I think this is something that is becoming slowly more accepted as well, is that it's just the idea which it took me a while to get there, especially when I was in business, like in the old type of business, is that there is nothing that your success can take away from me or vice versa. The only thing we can do is kind of rocket fuel each other. But you being successful, there's not a limited, not a finite amount of success or money or love or all of that in the world. And you taking some of that means there's less for me.
Yes.
It is this, you know, it is just an infinite amount out there. And the moment you can truly feel that, then all of a sudden the whole concept of competition becomes almost ridiculous.
Absolutely.
You're like, well, and I think that comes from the old, yeah, like you say, the old paradigm and it's the scarcity mindset, the idea that there's a finite amount of success or money to be made, and anything someone else does is potentially taking away from my possibility to get it. And that is just, almost funny, I think, at this point. And also so reassuring and empowering, I think, once you can reframe that for yourself and really trust that, that's always there and always available for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Poof, so much pressure is like instantly lifted.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to just say to you about it, reminded me of something, right? Like I years ago, like 10 years ago, I was a health coach, right? And I created my own vegan detox product line, right? And I wanted to be like Blythe, the raw vegan chef. My name is so unique. I'd never met another Blythe, right? And I literally went like Blythe's Raw or whatever. I put in all the like the Google thingies, like just because I was going to buy the website and do all the things because I'd done all the courses and stuff. And there's one other freaking Blythe who's a raw vegan chef. You know, like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, what is this about? Like, universe, this is me. No, this woman. And she's like amazing and beautiful and done all the YouTube channels and all of that. And in that moment, I'm like, oh, my identity. I've lost my identity and who I'm meant to be in this world. But like, I like went and did some meditation and got over it in a week's time or something. And I was like, and so many people, especially in Sydney, like because of the raw vegan community was such a big like thing, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago when we were getting into it. And there was only a few of us, and it's like, oh, you've got to get on it really quick because, you know, it's a thing and it's not going to be cool anymore. And then like, you've got to be right at the start. And then I just went, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just going to let these guys work really hard. They do all the work. And then when I'm ready and everything is fully aligned and I totally get it, then you know, like it's not a competition. It's like, yeah, people are like, there might be somebody doing it before you or doing that, and they might have your name and it might be that, but then really they're just building that container even more so. Like they're making whatever it is that you think that you want to do just stronger, and so there'll be more of a pull when you're ready to get into it anyway. So it's never a competition. It's never like being in lack or scarcity or missing out. It's just like, it's not my time right now and somebody else is going to do it, and that's absolutely cool, and I'm just going to work on me and what fills me up, and then when everything's fully aligned, it'll work as it's supposed to. But obviously working on it and taking steps to whatever fills your soul in the meantime, because it's not like being a yogi and sitting in a cave and meditating and hoping that, you know, the Prince Charming is going to come in the door. You know, it's not like that. You've got to
Come into the cave.
Coming into the cave, yes. There's got to be some action in that, because I got lost in that world for a while as well. Now I'm just going to meditate every day. And
Pretty hot though.
Yeah.
I like this story. I like where this is going. No, that's absolutely right. And it's about taking action, and it's about supporting each other. And I think that that's true in business, but also we can all stand to do that more in life. And I've like made it a mission. If I see someone, it's usually women, because it kind of towards guys it's kind of perceived often, which is a shame. But often might be misinterpreted. But you know, if you see someone who looks great or who does something awesome, I make a point to go up to them, like in the street, and just give them a compliment.
Yeah.
And the level of shock, first of all,
yes,
the level of resistance to receiving it.
Yeah.
Sometimes some people find it really hard.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you
very,
want? What are you doing?
What do you want? Is there something? Okay, okay. Like, kind of have that judgmental thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important we do that, and we make a point in building each other up, because, you know, if someone comes to me in the street and gives me a compliment, like, my day is freaking made. I love it.
I'm totally taking it. Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. I know. I am amazing. You're right. You're a smart woman. I like you.
Yeah. And it totally changes the environment. Like, I'm in Sydney, in the city, so it's like the Matrix, and I'm the same. Like, if I see something that I like, or somebody did something, or, you know, blah blah blah, or like, even we've got a lot of homeless community in Australia, and so, you know, like, there's like 20 people around all in suits, and you give somebody a bit of change and go, hey, have a lovely day to somebody. Like, you just see the shift, and like that resonates, where people are like, oh, I'm supposed to be human right now. It's like, yeah, we're all supposed to be fucking human, supporting each other. Absolutely. Not necessarily money or anything like that, but just the compliment. It's all in the words, and seeing somebody and hearing somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so.
That is one of the things. I don't remember where I saw it, but it was some documentary about. They were following a group of homeless people, and that really stuck with me. One of the women was telling me how, or not telling me. The camera, I'm watching TV. She's telling me personally, but she was talking about how the hardest thing for her was that people don't look at her as being human. They don't see her. They don't look her in the eye. It's like she became invisible.
Yeah.
And so I always make a point, whether I'm giving money or buying someone some food or just walking by, to look someone in the eye and say, good morning, how are you? And just have that moment of freaking human interaction.
Yeah.
Because it's the minute we frame someone or something as other, and we create that distance, that's a dangerous zone.
Yes, absolutely. That is so true, and it is so important, and it shifts, and like ripples go out from that. Because my mum, she had a brain hemorrhage, like, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, and after that she was left without part of her skull, right? And then she had to wear a helmet for like 9 months. It was awful. And it was, you know, like, she was my mum, I was like 20, and so when we'd go out, people wouldn't even talk to her, they'd just talk to me. And and my mum's like, she was such a strong woman and like always in control of everything. And so, like, for her, like, to not even be seen, like, it was just soul crushing. Like, I'm like, why are you talking to me? My mum's right there. They're like, no, well, I'm talking to you. So if we can change those, like, those sort of things. And I mean, I think like with kids and stuff like that, it's already shifted, because I mean, I see it all the time, you know, like I was at the beach a few years ago. I'll never forget this. It's stuck in my mind. And there was like I went to the beach I go to the beach every afternoon, you know what I'm like. And there was there's a kid that was coming down there, like probably a teenager, maybe about 16. And he was, he had some learning difficulties, but really strong learning difficulties. And, you know, there was these two kids, like two little girls, probably about like 7, 8, 9, something like that. And their mum was like, oh, stay away from that boy. And they're like, Mum, he's just special needs. He's absolutely fine. We're going to go and play with him. And I was like, fuck yeah, you know, like, so things are shifting with the younger ones, because everything's normal, which is so great. But it's like the teenagers on, like, we've got to really, you know, all of us absolutely see each other as equal. All of us, it's so important, so that we can, just all shift all this bullshit and then really be seen for who we are. And then people get into things that they love and want to do because they're seen and heard, and they can just be their full expression of themselves. And we don't need to have any of these like bullshit masks that are keeping us stuck and small and shrinking and in miserable places.
Because on every level, whether it's on a personal small level or like more of a macro level, I think the truth is that hurt people hurt people. It's a universal truth.
Exactly. Yes.
So, and so I used to get a little bit demotivated, thinking like, oh, what can I do? You know, like, it's just like, it's not going to make a difference on the big scale. And maybe it's not, it doesn't matter. You don't need to influence the big scale, because if you just pay one person a compliment, they're going to feel great. They are interacting with another 20 to 50 people that day. They pay it forward to one person. They're interacting. So that one compliment can have already a massive ripple effect.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
Just be nice, people. Be nice.
Yeah, exactly. And it's practicing a new muscle, because it's almost like negativity thrives when we're growing up, like in school. I mean, I know it did in my school and stuff like that. And then being in my superficial career and everything, like, negativity thrives. And it's almost like you've got to retrain yourself, or not retrain yourself, but like, I guess there's just a day where you realize everybody around me is really negative. I can't handle this anymore. This is not a fun place. Like, I'm actually a happy person and I just want to be around nice people. And then you change, right? And then, you just change that part of your brain. You start to use new neural pathways, and you're creating those pathways where it's like, okay, this is my happy place. And if more people are doing that at a younger age, or more people are doing that now, like just all the time, then we get over this like bullshit regurgitation of negativity that's not even true. It's just stories and programs and all that sort of stuff, where the creativity and the positivity is the creativity, and it is just the juice that keeps us all loving life a whole lot more. It is. It's so simple. Just be nice, people. Exactly what you said. Just be nice.
Just be like, eat your greens and be nice. Basically, everything your mom told you when you were a toddler is actually the big life advice from two coaches. This is what we tell you. But it's true. And I mean, I see that with my kids. I've been doing a lot of research and learning a lot about something called like a growth mindset. So I'm naturally a very positive person, and my kryptonite there is that I tend to over rainbow and unicorn and glitter things, and
that's what we have in common. Rainbows, pipping unicorns all day. I
know, every day. Good friend of mine, she's a psychiatrist. She's like, I have been practicing this for nearly 20 years. I have never told anyone to tone it down with the positivity. You need to tone it down.
Oh my God, sounds like me.
Yeah,
I don't think you should
you can like easily tip over towards like delusional.
Huh?
I'm sorry?
What did you say?
No, I lost connection, so I didn't hear you.
Oh, I was like, I'm exactly the same. People have always said that to me, like in the past, and now I just think, hell no, like you need to tone it up, people. Like if you're in another space where you can't handle the light shining out of us because we're happy, fuck, you need to watch a different movie. Stop watching bloody Game of Thrones and start doing some meditation or something. I don't know. Or have that glass of wine with friends. I don't know.
Change the channel. Yeah, but I see it, and I see it a lot in my kids. So they reading a lot about this thing called, cultivating a growth mindset. And I really like that principle, because it's not all rainbows and unicorns, or it's not all pessimistic. It's about, growth and learning from every experience, and having that resilience and that grit and that creativity to make the most out of everything.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a powerful thing to learn for kids as well as adults, because it's not always going to be unicorns and rainbows,
Yes,
nor is it always bad, but there's always an opportunity for growth, and that's a
absolutely.
choice, and that's a choice we get to make. Do we take this and see ourselves, like you say, as the victim and just kind of have life happen to us, or do we have a good cry and scream about it? I mean, we're human.
Yeah.
And then squeeze it for all it's got, and grow like a motherfucker.
Absolutely, get the lessons out of it. Absolutely. And
Mm.
there'll always be stuff and we'll feel a bit, like you said, feel a bit shitty, but like if we can just, I don't know, I find, what do you do? I like to journal and go, what is the lessons that I'm getting here? What am I missing? um I mean, and generally a good night's sleep and a bit of meditation and the next day I'll feel pretty good, but it's like, what is it that I can do? Like, what is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm possibly seeing? And I just like to, yeah, journaling really works well for me. Meditation, getting in the ocean. What generally works well for you when you're in that state?
Yeah, I think that I've been working on is also accepting that, okay, right now I feel like shit. I
Mm,
know and trust and believe that there is something in there for me. I know everything is always happening for my highest good, and
mm,
I am accepting that I just cannot see it right now.
yeah, yeah,
Because before I would frantically, like, look for the silver lining, whether I could find it or not, I'd create it somewhere. And I am learning, my big lesson, I think, in this phase of my life is to learn to accept what is, even if it's not, as wonderful or educational as I'd like it to be at the moment, and just trusting that there'll be a reason, and I just don't know right now, and I'm going to be okay with
yeah.
that. That's my big stretch. I'm getting pulled in every direction at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's so true actually, because like I sit with some plant medicine and stuff, and that has literally been my mantra the last 2 weeks is like, allow, accept, we've got you. Like, just fully supported. I'm like, and in that place, you're like, oh, I can do anything. Doesn't really matter. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's fine.
okay,
It's all the same.
fine.
It's all the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And how we
Oh,
feel about something, it might be super shit, but is it? Because that's just our perception. It's like,
it
oh, well, maybe it's
is.
shit today, but if I like just look after myself, then it might feel better tomorrow. And exactly, like so many people are like, what's the lesson in this, Blythe? I'm like, well, it's just up here yet. It hasn't landed. I don't know. Like, I'm
I
just allowing
don't.
and accepting and knowing that I'm just like fully supported. So it's all good. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, don't take it so seriously all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I was speaking to my son. So I have a 10-year-old turning 11 next week. And I was speaking to him about it. And he's now very much into a game called Minecraft.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't like video games, but basically they build houses, cities, worlds
Yeah.
from blocks. I seriously, for the life of God, I can't, like, I love God, I can't understand why it's fun, but he loves it. Um, so I was talking to him, and I was telling him that actually life is kind of like a game of Minecraft. Like, you create your own reality through your thoughts, through your actions, through your energy. So you get to choose what you put in there, and you get to choose certain thoughts over another, or choose to take them seriously, or take them on board, or let them fly by. Because
Yeah.
he's a serious boy, and sometimes he just carries the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Oh,
And I
bless.
think he was kind of looking at me like, okay, you weirdo, like, just leave me alone, let me play. But then 2 days later, he calls me. He's like, Mom, look, I've been playing Minecraft. And you know what? I was thinking about what you said. And I decided to destroy everything that I'd built and start again, but consciously, because I can create my own reality. And I'm like, holy fuck, you cracked the code, because life is like a game of Minecraft.
Totally goosebumps again. Oh my gosh, that's amazing, right? To be able to get
Yeah.
that lesson at that age. He's 10 years old and he just completely demolished his identity, completely demolished everything that he built to start from scratch and be cool with it and conscious. Like, what that is, you're a great mum. That's what that is.
Well, but
You're a
also,
great,
like, he was teaching me, because, like, as I was saying it, I'm like, yeah, life really is a game of Minecraft, and all it takes is a choice to, like, oh, I'll just wipe this out and build it again. And we get so stuck in our realities and our experience of life thinking that that's a fixed thing.
Yeah.
But we get that. We have that game controller in our hands, and we do get to choose to kind of demolish parts of our lives, to rebuild it, to fit our new image. And also realize that whatever is real and alive for us right now doesn't need to be forever.
Yeah.
So that used to freak me out a lot, the idea that, okay, if I did something, you know, what if things would change? And it kind of got me paralyzed to make big decisions, because I don't know what I'm going to want for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And just realizing that you can at any time do that to parts of your life and say, erase, take this away. I want, you know, it to be purple or higher or more to the left. Yeah, it was really for me too.
Yeah, that is. It's huge. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Nothing's permanent. Absolutely. We grasp onto things all the time and get so attached and need to fill up with all the stuff. And it's like, just burn it. Start again.
Yeah.
It's not serving you. If you need to hold it on your back, it's literally weighing you down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your hopes in this world for your kids?
Oof. So many. What I hope for them is that they get to, sooner than the generations before them, step fully into who they are unapologetically and own that and be that. I think my job as a parent is to raise independent, strong, kind, compassionate humans that are able to, that have all the tools and the know-how to be who they are going to be in the world. Like, I don't add anything to that or subtract anything from that. My job is just to help them get to a point where they feel so secure in their own, on their own 2 feet, that they can confidently express that. I hope that they grow up in a world that is inclusive, that they grow up knowing that there is no other, that we are all connected and everything touches everything. And I hope they grow up knowing that they have the power to create a world they believe in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that terrifies the living shit out of me, because look around. Sometimes I'm like, really? My God.
What do you mean? Why does that terrify you? What do you mean?
Oh, just, the world in general, I feel like we are definitely moving, and we're moving and we're upgrading. I mean, this is your whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are days where you watch plastic continents and orange presidents and angry people all over the world, and you watch all these things and it just seems so big.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It can seem really overwhelming, and it's all for a reason, like we need all these big shifts. We're not waking up fast enough, so it's just creating so much, so many people awakening, so many communities growing, so many people more coming online and caring about each other, caring about the planet a bit more, and just going, actually, like, is what we've been sold true? Do we have to abide by this? Can we try something a little bit different? So I feel like the world's really at this kind of place where it is like all this, like, I have this thing, and I got it from one of my mentors, like, we either learn through catastrophe, chemicals, or culture. Chemicals being plant medicine, but we learn through these things. So like when there's a catastrophe, it's like a blessing on the other side of that, because we get so much growth from that. Like, I was speaking to a guy yesterday, I had an accident with my arm, and he'd like just, I don't know, broken his leg or something. It's like, I got so many lessons from this. And the same, I got so many lessons. So it just brings so many people online, like, and especially when things are being hidden and all that sort of stuff, like with the Amazon, like there wasn't many media or anything like that around it, but like everybody finds out and does amazing things across the globe. So it's just, I think all of these things are really happening for a reason. And especially like the kids with everything, like we've got a lot of, in Sydney, global summits for like protests for climate change and stuff like that, and it's the kids running it. It's freaking epic, you know, like they're not going to put up with this crap that we've put up with. Like they're at young ages already going, no, this is not okay. Yeah, we're just waiting for you guys to get older so that you can piss off and we'll take over and we'll do a great job because we are the ones that need to be here in, you know, 100 years time or however long it is. So yeah, I think that, yeah, everything is shifting for the better. Fingers crossed though, but it really is.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. And it's so amazing that your kids, like, for, you know, your son to say that, like, everything's changing already. Just to have somebody at that age being that aware is like awesome, you know, like awesome.
Yeah, I think they grow up in a world where it's considered less woo-woo and weird and things that, you know, used to be kind of ostracized and pushed to the margins and to the outer edges are now much more mainstream. Like I was having drinks. Actually, I went to watch the rugby on Saturday. I'm becoming a Kiwi. And I was sitting with friends of friends who I didn't really know. And I did a terrible, like in my mind, I had them pegged. Like he was a very successful businessman with big corporate. So I had my whole picture. She's a gorgeous Brazilian, his gorgeous Brazilian wife was there, beautiful. And I had this whole picture already painted in my head, and I'm talking to them. And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, but you know, I don't know if it's just a coincidence or if it's just the shifting from 3D to 5D. And I'm like, you're my people.
At the rugby, totally.
At the rugby, the corporate businessman is talking about the shift to 5D. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I'm like. Everybody knows stuff now. It's like, yeah, all the stuff that we used to hide and all that stuff or not talk about so much, everybody's talking about it, you know, like it's so great. Shifting so much. Shifting timelines just like that, you know, this new equinox.
So exciting.
Yes, so exciting for what we get to like leave your kids, you know, that we're hopefully like making a bit of a difference. And it is slow, but you know, like there's a lot of great things coming, you know, like I know that I'd spoken to you about like Singularity University and all those sort of things. Like there's big changes coming and there's a lot of support and philanthropic projects where people are like making massive shifts. And, you know, like I personally feel like it's the governments that are just, people are stepping away from that. They're not supporting it and everybody's just doing their own thing. And that'll be the future governments anyway, because the governments, what do? They just take our money and make us poor and enslaved. So you know, it's just like a new way of doing everything. And it's like big shifts are really coming and big projects are really coming. And it doesn't, like I was talking with one of the women out of this, it doesn't need to take a long time. It just needs to take money and intention and the right intention, and everything can shift. Like we could shift the whole world in 5 years, you know, like really, like we could have all the oceans cleaned. We could have everybody out of poverty. We could have the deserts regrowing like organic food. We could have all the mine sites like not toxic. Like
let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Just a few little projects.
Let's do it. You heard it here first, people. In 5 years.
All of the things. Everybody's okay. But there is they've done studies on this where if every single family in the whole entire world had a block of land, because there's people and then there's humans, right? And so people are humans are the real physical people. And if every single family had a plot of land, we'd all fit in Alaska. Like there's not overpopulation in the world. We've just got like, there's just all these stories and all this other stuff. So everything is actually better than we think, right? So it's fascinating. And with the right people, like, you know, people that have like earned a lot of money doing the right things, then the whole world can shift because people are coming online and realizing that they're unfulfilled and they've got all this cash and they want to do amazing things. It's like, okay, great, let's go and do the stuff. Okay,
let's go, let's do it.
Yeah, so we do get to create like major changes for like the kids and everything like that. Yeah. So what would you like people to take away from, because we've been talking for ages and we could literally talk forever because we love each other. What would you like people to take away from this? Like, I mean, it's all about upgrading and all of those sort of things, but maybe two things, what you would like people to take away from this to upgrade themselves, and then also how would you like to support people in upgrading?
I love this. I think what I'd really love for anyone to take away from this is the idea that they get to create it all. They do get to have that, they get to be that badass business person, and as well just be a decent, happy, fulfilled, contributing human being. It is not one or the other. That is just a bullshit story we've kind of bought into, and it's time to let that go and to own that we get to create our own success. And that is super exciting, to really think, what does that look like for me in every area of your life, and just have the balls, but also hereby get a permission slip to go and chase that. People feel it needs to be one or the other. Like if they're going to become more spiritual, well, then what does that mean for their business, or what does that mean for their identity, or if they're going to invest in all these relationships, so that we won't have time to do the business and to make the money. But you do get to have it all. It's not mutually exclusive. So I think if there's one thing you take away, is the notion and the promise that you get to have it all, and that you have the power to decide to create that reality tomorrow. Not fully as you dream it, but start putting things in motion. And like that Minecraft game, start building with these little blocks. And that can be working with a coach, that can be reading a book, that can be listening to a podcast, that can be just talking to a stranger. Yes. Just deciding that you want something different for yourself already is a huge catalyst.
Absolutely.
So I think that is one thing I would really hope lands for everyone. And how I can support people is, I am so committed to sharing this, and sharing also concrete ways to go big and go home. So you can find me on Instagram at c.e.ohm on Instagram. And if you feel called to it, if you want to know more about working with me directly, whether it's in a group, whether it's one-on-one, either go through Instagram and DM me, or go to my website, which is www.the-ceohm, that is ceohm.com. And reach out and let's have a chat, and just do this all day long.
Pretty much, yeah, that's it. Beautiful. Thank you so much. That was just a beautiful chat, and it's so nice to be able to share everything that you're doing and who you are and what you're about, because you've just got such beautiful medicine that can really help people. So I'm just really grateful that you were able to share that today with us. So
Thank you so much for having me. I am so honored. And if I haven't said it a million times already, I am so proud of you, and you inspire me. And I love how you are just so, all of you, so many things, and you combine it so beautifully. And thank you for having me here. It is really an honor and so much fun.
Yeah, so much fun. Perfect. Thank you. And that was such beautiful words. I really have taken them into my heart. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. All right.